say that they killed. I think other people should say that, you
Well,
know.
I just say I had a good time, and it's for people to decide what they felt. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's yeah. So I think it's arrogant to say I killed, because
Well,
like
yeah. That, but that's what they, that's the culture, the one up, the big up. I'm better. This, and it's an art, and comedy is relative. So if you don't know that much about comedy, then you're competing to be a better you, not to be better than someone. So
amen.
yeah.
Amen. Oh, I can't wait to get to know you. I knew you were so special. I could see it in your eyeballs.
Which one though?
Let me see which one I prefer. I'm going to go with your right eye.
My right
That
eye.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Which one do you like of mine? Neither.
The left one, my left.
Your left? That
Yeah.
one?
No, that one.
That one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't, do you have a certain face that you like better? I don't like this side of me. I don't, if I saw this one at a bus stop, I wouldn't talk to her, but I like this one.
I got dimples on both sides.
I like that side. I
Yeah.
like them both. I like them
Yeah.
both.
So I got angles. I know my angles. You know what I mean? I know my neck angles for pictures.
I have many different looks in pictures.
Yeah, my wife told me to stop making stupid faces. She said, "You're too handsome to make dumb faces." And I was
Oh.
like, okay. I usually be like, she said, don't do that. She said, don't do that. She said, make a good face, and she said, people will be more happy with that than they'll be with.
Have you seen how headshots have changed over the years? We're live, so you can share it. I forgot to tell
Oh,
you.
okay, okay.
Headshots used to be like this, or
Right.
and now they're like, somebody sucking a lollipop.
Yeah, well, everybody does stuff for character shots. So they think that everybody wants a character shot. Everybody doesn't.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah. So I want to get to know you, and you tell me when you're ready for me to do your intro and start banging away questions at you.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right.
There is no way. There is no prepare for me.
Okay. Have you ever taken improv? You've done acting. Have you done improv?
I've done improv, not as much as I like.
I'm going to throw you some improv bones right now.
Okay.
So I usually welcome everybody to Comic Spot, but tonight, Hank Denson, would you do me the honor of telling everybody welcome to Comic Spot?
Welcome. Hi, my name is Hank Denson, and welcome to Linda Smith's Comic Spot. Did I say it right?
You did it great. Thank you so much, Hank. Tonight on Comic Spot, he said it better than I did. We have the amazing, you've seen him before, you have not seen the last of this wonderful guy, Hank Denson. You've seen him on Barbershop 3. He's got viral videos for teachers, hashtag pay teachers more money. Yeah, get on it. And he's got a national comedy tour called Teachers Relief Live.
Mm-hmm.
And he just doesn't know that he's going to have me headline in 2097.
Is that the year?
That's it. That's when I'm going to peak. That's
it.
Well,
why can't we just do 21? What are we waiting on?
And you can find him on the internet if you Google or you do that circle thing, that ampersand, Hank Denson Comedy, or Joke Dealers Inc. What the heck, Hank? What is Joke Dealers Inc.?
So Joke Dealers Inc. is a brand. Joke Dealers Inc. is a label that I LLC. It's a record label actually that I'm producing comedians, so comedians have their own content. What has happened with what we're dealing with in COVID is a lot of people didn't have their own content, so they're wondering how they're going to eat. And what happened? It's a story to it. I created a long time ago when I did Barbershop 3. I was on the set, and come to find out, I got to sit down and talk with Ron Muhammad, which is executive vice president of Cube Vision, because I found out that Ice Cube's lead makeup was my cousin. And I ended up, the position that I was doing, I was just supposed to be a stand-in. Then I ended up in the movie. I ended up playing Cedric Entertainer's photo double. So in the movie, I'm walking and talking, and I'm actually him. Common is my height. Cedric is a little shorter. So if you see the movie, you'll see me all in a bunch of different scenes, but you don't know it's me because of the body double. So I'm like, whoop, walking, whoop, you don't tell me. And that spiraled me into learning a lot about production, because what we do know, we knew how to show up and do our parts, read our lines, but do you know how to start from scratch, write a script? Do you know how to do that? What green lights? What do they need? What money goes involved? Who needs to green light it? And I wanted to know on the production end, you know, I look up to Byron Allen and a lot of other comedians who own their content. Byron Allen, Kevin Hart. I hop around a lot of different comedians. George Wallace is my uncle. Love him. He taught me a lot about owning production and copyright. I've done shows in Vegas with him, and we do some writing and we hang out. He's not my real uncle, but he's my uncle in this business. And
you know, I can reach out and touch the Westgate, isn't he?
Oh, you can? Yeah, I've done the Westgate. When did I do the Westgate? Last year? Yeah, I did the Westgate last year. And I learned a lot about it. And from the joke dealers, it was years back. I made a logo, everything. And I was like, because I do a lot of, I don't just do, you know what I mean? Because I'm a Black comedian, they always say, oh yeah, you know, you're gonna find your crowd, blah, blah, blah. I started in churches, urban rooms. I'm from Massachusetts, so I started doing comedy in the Boston Comedy Connection in Faneuil Hall, the historic club. And then I did the Boston Comedy Club in New York. And then I'm from Springfield, so I did the Hookie Loud and all those clubs, historic clubs, East Coast. And I thought about owning. I'm always thinking about owning because I used to work in orthopedics. I used to be a PA in pediatric orthopedics. So my wife ain't cool with, the dream is good, but the dream has to make sense. And to a certain level of your talent, like I could tour, I could do all this, but on the long end, what can I leave my family? What kind of copyright, trademark, licensing, what can I leave my family that later on it's still gonna help people, and it will be a production that will generate more dollars and help later on. And I thought of joke dealers because I touched so many different genres of comedy. I was on tour with Caroline Ray, then I did tour with Rodney Perry. Then I was doing, I did NASCAR. I was an entertainment MC for NASCAR for 3 years. Then I was an entertainment writer, and I did NBA writing for NBA Entertainment for the Hawks for 10. So I know about marketing. And I was like, but everything comes down to a label and a brand and what you own. So I thought of joke dealers, and we did these sketches. We were doing sketches at first called Joke Dealers and the Sketches. And then the sketches was everybody, the comedians that are alternative, urban. Some people are writers. They didn't really do stand-up. They just did improv. And it was my brand. I called it Joke Dealers. And then we try to do it. And then, you know how every group of performers is always like, oh, we're gonna do it, but somebody has to be committed to it for it to do anything. And I notice in comedy, people can't put their egos away to kind of get a project done. So it's just like, all right, I'll create a brand that'll work with everybody. And what happened when Atlanta boomed with the movies, I would know casting directors. Like they would ask me questions about, hey, do you know we need a white female, 20 to 35, Black hair, funny, quirky. And I would be like, oh yeah, I know a few comedians that fit that type. One is really, really funny. One is a little dry, but she's funny. And that would get them right into auditions because that's what the business is about. And that right there was like, oh dude, you need to work on a brand. You need to work on a joke dealer brand where all the comedians can come under one brand and then make records, make albums, content, and then build a tour. Wow. So I did this like 7 to 8, I don't know how many years ago. I did it years ago. And I was like, oh, this would be cool. I should do it. And I got it going. In fact, hold on one second.
You bet. Take your time. This guy knows so much. This is the best content that's come out of an interview out of 521 interviews.
521 interviews?
Yeah. I have OCD.
Oh, me too. That's why I have this color on. Like I have all my colors match. It's bad. I'm surprised I don't have red glasses on. How clean is your kitchen?
Somebody
So-
asked me the other day to do urban comedy for, this comic here, Joe Moffat in Vegas, asked me to do an urban room with him. And I got there and they were white AF.
Yeah, but you know what? Comedy's comedy. So this is a joke dealer brand. I made a logo, all this stuff. And this is 2007, maybe 8. And I made the logo, the brand, all this stuff. And then, long story short, I'll just tell you this story. Didn't ask.
I got all night.
Did not ask for the pay teachers more money. I'm a regular dad. You know, if my kids acting up at school, I go down there, act like I care. Then I get home, punch him in his head, stuff like, you know what I mean. But I made the leap that a lot of people won't make. I made the leap. My debt to income ratio was a little different. It was cheaper. I paid some stuff off. And my wife does total knee and hip surgery, so we had health insurance. And my daughter had a football soccer scholarship to Jacksonville State, so she was leaving, and it was just me and my son and my wife. So it kind of just worked out where the movie and all this stuff came at once. I didn't audition for it. I ended up being on set with Malcolm Lee, who did Best Man Holiday and Girls Trip and all that, that last star cast of Barbershop. And when we were doing the casting, he just said he needed people to step in and fill in. Cedric Entertainer's mother had fell ill and she passed away. So he wasn't really on set as much. So I had to body double for a lot of stuff and then they would just fill his voice in. But when you're on set, I'm standing there, I'm around Nicki Minaj, everybody's there. Common, JB Smooth, like a bunch of the Ice Cube. And I'm standing around and then they found out that my cousin was the lead makeup. So then the conversation changed. I went from being an extra dude to, that's the dude that's playing Cedric, that's what you call his cousin. And they were talking to me different. So I just wanted to get the information. From Malcolm, Ron Muhammad explained to me it's about a brand. It's about branding. It's about wholesome. That's how, Ice Cube is a gangster rapper. One of the best in the world. Yes. And now he's like #1 on Disney. He owns a 3-on-3 NBA tournament. Like he's touching stuff that you think, a gangster rapper would never do back in the day. And it was all about bringing together family values, stuff like that. So in the long run, I made the brand. Then I got casted for the Tupac movie. And the thing is, they called me. The universe does, put it like this. I don't even know why we're talking right now, Linda. I don't even know how you found me, but that's how the energy in the universe works. That's why I'm kind of like not shady. Some people are like, I don't do interviews because you don't know what stuff turns into. You don't know how that affects you. You don't know how it affects me. You don't know who's watching. You don't know where it comes from. And then when it happens and you're available for it, you should just jump and do it. So that's been my career. And what happened.
Can I just interrupt you and tell you?
Yeah, I can run. You don't know. I don't think you know who you're interviewing.
No, I want to just interrupt you real quick and just say, I love you so much. Keep going.
So, basically what happened was in the gist of all of it, I learned that you need to create a brand, and I created the Joke Dealers. And from that, I learned about marketing because prior to that, I worked NASCAR, I worked NBA Entertainment, so I learned about numbers and how people love stuff. And viral wasn't really like it was. Like I knew Dane Cook before he left Boston. You know what I mean? I was doing shows with Jamie Foxx, Tommy Davidson. I won a comedy competition. I knew like Louis Anderson. I was doing shows with them when I was 21. And then all the comedians out of New York, like Freddie Ricks, Cool Bubba Ice, Barry Katz that used to manage Whitney Cummings. I had a couple of phone conversations with him about management back in the day. I was on Rush Management for a minute. So it was a bunch of stuff that I was just touching at a young age. And I did Apollo. And this was like this was like 2 years of comedy because I wasn't scared. And I was like, what's next? What's next? And I wanted to learn the business. And from that, and let me fast forward, from that, I was like, look, Joke Dealers is what I'm gonna create. I know the marketing, and I did the Tupac movie. You know these movies, you can't say nothing to nobody unless you know for a fact you're gonna be in the movie, because they will cut everything. So I had a little stack of little pink slips. I was getting my checks. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be it. And I was in, like, I had big reading parts. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool. Man, please. That movie came out, I wasn't nowhere. They cut all my scenes, everything. My wife was standing there. She was like, where you at? That's the most embarrassing part. And I got cousins that are assholes. Can I cuss? I'm sorry. I got cousins, and they're like, yo, you wasn't nowhere in that movie. You sure you was in a movie? And I sent them pictures. I'm like, yo, this is me. Tupac was in makeup. I was the dude in this scene, in this scene. I actually played a Santa in a scene where it was my apartment and Tupac was a little kid. And it was my party, and I'm dancing in the party, like, come on in, little man. There's a party going on. Hey, Gazelle. Like, if they had showed my parts, you would have been like, yo, that was you. There was no way to hide it. Gone. And I realized, what do you want out of this business? Do you want to be a star, or do you want to be in this business and make a change and create and have longevity? Because you could be a star today and gone tomorrow. But what will keep you in this business? And that's about owning and creativity and having a non-demographical set. That is the most important part. You should work in any club that lets you work with any nationality. And the Punchline in Atlanta is probably one of the top clubs in the world. I have worked with over 300 comedians. And when I was working in my doctor's office job, I would wear my scrubs and I would walk in, and with my scrubs on, my scrubs are kind of fancy because I got OCD. So they would match my sneakers and my hoodie, and I would jump on the stage. And from that stage, I opened up for Amy Schumer, David Kettner, Miles Jabroni, what's his name? Gabriel Iglesias. I mean, everybody you can name, even some of the bigger names on comedians like, George. I worked on Tom Petty. Is it Tim Pettis? Tom, big guy. I forgot his name. He died. He had a stomach tape staple. Gosh, put it like this: 300 shows. So I would jump around, host, feature, and all I did was work on a non-demographical set. How to learn how to reset a room, no matter what it is. Like they were saying to you, oh yeah, you're gonna do an urban room. There's no such thing. You go in a room and you reset the energy for how it's supposed to feel for you, not for the people. Once you reset the room, it's your room. It doesn't matter who's in the room. It doesn't matter. That's how I learned. I learned that from working NBA Entertainment. I learned that from working NASCAR. I worked NASCAR for 3 years.
I'm a huge NASCAR, huge NBA, huge
Really?
NFL.
So I was Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth and Casey Kane's entertainment MC. So yeah, they used to dress me up. They didn't put it like this. They didn't dress me up. Let me see if I can find a pic. They used to dress. It was a lot of money. They had budgets, and they would fly me out. One time I hopped on a helicopter with the marketing people. It was Singular Racing then before it switched to AT&T Racing, and I would hop on a helicopter with the marketing people and fly to Dega. I did it at Watkins Glen. I did the race in Vegas. I did when Charlotte switched. Remember the All-Star Game race where it switched from Pepsi to Coca-Cola? I worked that race. I did all of them, all the major ones, and all I did was host the entertainment tents. And they have these big entertainment tents in the middle that people win. They'll win like a pass, and they win like a pit pass and all the stuff. And I was the dude who would do the pass. I would bring them in. Here, I actually got a picture. So this is hold on, let me blow it up.
I love NASCAR. There's a guy from the South.
So yeah, I work for Jeff Burton. That's the Car 31. See those tents? So those are VIP tents, and they would have liquor in them, and hot little women with their boobies up, and they had staff that worked with me to do giveaways. And I was like, what do I do in this space? And I'm like, and I learned to adapt to what the space is. And I'm not saying like, oh, I need to act like I love NASCAR. I ain't know shit about NASCAR. What I knew is I was 5 of the Black people that were there, that work staff. Everybody worked for the Bojangles or the Coca-Cola people. But I learned that it's about what people love, and it's organic to them. Because that's 500,000 people. They travel all over the world, right? And it's the same race. There's no visitor cars, same damn cars, same merchandise, same Dale Jr. merchandise, even the fake merchandise that all sells out. People pack up all their family and all their stuff, their grills, and travel to the next city and watch the race again. What makes that race so tangible that people love it so much? They're a part of it. They feel like they know Junior. They feel like they know them. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, he's my favorite. My mama loves him. It's a family thing. That's what I picked up with Ice Cube. I was like, wow, people love Are We There Yet? People love all that stuff. People grew up on Ice Cube. And then the people who are even white, Black, Spanish, whatever, you knew Ice Cube music. And now he's the dude that's doing Disney movies and running and all this other stuff. So you kind of think it's cool, you get it. And what I did was I tied it all together about what marketing is. I would go in and I would play like Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson, a little Achy Breaky Heart, maybe some Rascal Flatts. And I would plug that up into my iPad and I would play that music. I would do giveaways. They gave me a bunch of stuff, nice stuff, helmets, jackets. And I had the pretty girls that would carry it around, and I would do the voice. I want to welcome you out to have AT&T Race. My name is Hank Denson. We're going to have a good time, NASCAR fans. And they would be like, ah. They didn't know I was Black because I would be in the corner. And I would have, they didn't know that I was NASCAR fans. Look, we're going to do something. We're going to do I used to do the pit tours. And the pit tours, I used to host the pit tours. Okay, we're gonna be going to the pits. Look, you can't wear no flip-flops, no socks. Look, let me tell you this right now. If it goes high, I need you to stand to my left. You know what a left is? Okay, left is on this side of you. And then I would just run it. And then sometimes I would do the beatbox. Going to the pits. And then they would be like, whoa, this is the best time. Then I made up this thing called NASCAR math, where you subtract one driver from the next driver, all the numbers are high. That means it would get, and people like, oh my God, car 33, that's my favorite. You know what I mean? Screaming and hollering. You wear a shirt, a koozie. And I just watched how product placement jumped around. So in that time I was there, Crocs became a big thing. Crocs became a big thing. Crocs was in a kiosk. Let me show you how bad. Speaking of OCD, hold on. This is how bad mine is.
Whoa. Wow. That's something.
And I'm at the house. You can't even see any of this, but I know that I need to have my Crocs match my hoodie. So from that I learned that, okay, so they had Bojangles had a suite, but they didn't have a car. And I was always wondering, like, why would you have a suite without a car? And I was always going to get Crown Royal bags because it was about bartering. Like I would go get 5 Crown Royal bags. I would give them 4 Jeff Burton the die-cast cars were big. So I would give about 4 die-cast cars. Then they would give me Crown Royal bags. I would bring 2 Crown Royal bags to the Croc dude. He would give me 3 pair of Crocs. I would give 1 to that dude so my last stop was the Bojangles suite because I was like, ain't no chicken here. I'm tired of eating all these they have fancy meal, couscous, lamb. I was like, I don't eat this all weekend. So I would go and I asked the marketing people. That's who I used to talk to because that's who ran the tents. And they would come and watch my show. They were like, yo, your tent be rocking. We don't have any music or anything. I'm like, why not? And I'm like, you need to hire a host like me. And they were like, oh, sure. And there's another dude, my boy who put me on, Layton, he was doing all that stuff. And he was like, yo, you kill it because you're a comedian. I was like, bet. And the crazy thing about it, I was hopping from tent to tent, doing the work. And when the big crash and the real estate market crash, it killed all the money. Like, because most real estate goes through the banks. The banks fund all the other stuff. So when there's no money flowing through the banks, it kills all the marketing. So they're not gonna pay me $5,500, $7,500 to do no weekend when they got marketing people or interns. So that fizzled out, but I learned so much about it, taking that into the NBA, working NBA for 10 years, writing all the sketches, doing all the stuff during the game. So when you see people get hit in the face with cakes and all that stuff during the game, that's written on a script. That's all. You think second quarter, third timeout, they know that they should run out with the little tent and run out with the bag for the people to do the flips? We already know it on the script. We already know they're gonna call that timeout. They're gonna call that timeout for Home Depot, Coca-Cola. We already know. When you see somebody come down, it's kiss cam. We know the kiss cam is coming. We know it. It ain't just like, let's do it now. No, we know. We already planned it. If somebody gonna get hit in the face with a cake, or even the answers, some answers we give away. And it was just to make the flow. And I learned something from the Hawks where Chipotle grew. Chipotle didn't really exist in the South. Chipotle, it was Willie's and Moe's. Those are the only two places that you went to, Willie's and Moe's. But it's the same food. A burrito is a burrito, right? And it's not really Mexican, you know what I mean? It's like Tex-Mex, whatever. So what they did was, instead of giving, Chipotle came in, instead of giving free coupons to the whole place, they gave them to the cheap seats. Cheap seats, they're gonna go eat the burritos. What they're gonna do is they're gonna tell other people, I'm eating the burritos, the burritos free, I got one burrito, you got a burrito. That changes the number. That's a mind game that makes people go eat something and whatever. And then they started pumping that, oh, it's GMO and it's safe for you. But yeah, it was like, then Chipotle popped all over the place, just like Crocs from NASCAR. Crocs used to be a kiosk everywhere. Now there's Croc stores and outlets. They're in the mall. They were just a little kiosk. From NASCAR, they took it all over the country selling Crocs. Then everybody was like, oh, I love these shoes. And a couple of drivers was wearing them. And everybody was wearing them at NASCAR. The next thing you know, they trickling out. Yeah, there's a reason to have a store. So that comedy plays a major part in all kinds of marketing. You're not gonna ever buy nothing from tragedy. You buy a lot of stuff from happiness and good energy. When you're excited, like cereal, you were excited because the cereal made you laugh and you were happy, not because you just was sad, like, what'd you have? I had Cheerios, it made my stomach hurt, I'm gonna get another box. That's not what you do. You like Cheerios, honey nut, the little honey comes in, Golden Crisp, you know what I'm talking about. Can't get enough of that Golden Crisp. People like, yeah, he kind of cool, I'm gonna get that cereal. It all comes from comedy. So when I built the Joke Dealers, I was like, keep that around. And then this happened. All I did was, I was getting ready to go back to my job. I chaperoned the aquarium trip to my son's school. That's it. And the story was crazy. I went in there, they gave me a group of kids. I was like, why are you giving me a group of kids? Like, isn't there supposed to be a background check? And they were like, we're gonna put your son in the group. I'm like, I gave you a permission slip for him to be with you. I don't mess with this little Fortnite asshole on Tuesdays. This ain't what I do. And they were like, no, it's gonna be a good time. And these kids had a meltdown. One little girl started crying. My son started acting a fool. And one little black girl was cussing at everybody. And I was just like, what in the world? And I'm just trying to stay cool about everything. Then one little kid ran off and was biting everybody. And then come to find out, he was supposed to have a pill. Teachers didn't tell me. I told the whole story, like broke the story down on Facebook Live. Video went to 10 million views.
What?
Like that. Teachers were coming to my shows. I was like, yo, what are y'all doing here? Blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, we saw your video. And I was like, what video? They're like, the video about the kids. Oh my God, you hit it right on the nail. You're our favorite father. And I was like, so what?
Wow.
Whatever I said that resonated, that made sense at that time has carried me over 5 years. And now this is a tour called Teacher Relief Live. And I did that tour, did 30 cities by myself, no agency, no management. I pitched it myself, pre-sold it, took a one-off, took Wednesdays, Thursday. If this sold out, I would take the one-off, flip it in. I knew all my own radio because I do daytime TV on NBC here. A show called Lana and Company. And I would just call and see who the NBC affiliate is. Then once you do one radio station and you rock it, because of relationships, they'll be like, yeah, iHeartRadio, we got a station in Phoenix, we got a station in Connecticut, we got a station. Do you think you can get me on? Look, it's a thing that we're gonna give away. So you can do this. I'm giving away tickets. I try to contact the superintendents of schools in every city I go in, and I'm label it as a motivational performance. So if the school can fund it, the school department can fund it, or the district, I'll take it through them, and they can keep more of the money, and then I'll give more money back. If the clubs want it, then the clubs take it, and then they do a one-off, and I do a door deal. So the numbers with teachers is ridiculous. So I don't really have to beg and push and add, do a whole bunch of stuff to get teachers to come through. And that's what started the Teacher Relief Live Tour. And this is what, this is what you have. So it's like Worcester, then I did Laugh Boston, Stress Factories, both of them. And that was my tour. And I hopped all over the country, and it'd be teachers, they'd come out to shows, and I would do a Q&A giveaway where it would be like, I call it teacher talk, and I would do all over the country, and the teachers would come out, and it just kept going. Magoobies, and I would just catalog it as I did it all myself when nobody would give me a deal. You got to be attached to something. Everybody tells you, oh, you got to be like this. You got to have this. You got to have these numbers. You're not selling enough. You're not doing this. And after a while, you'll get defeated. I tell any comedian that's listening, believe in your process. You never know what's going to happen, what's going to put you anywhere. I did a video about coquito, which is a Puerto Rican eggnog, like a Puerto Rican drink.
Okay.
It went to 4.5 million views on Puerto Rican Vine. And I just did the video at the house, just sitting. But I always do marketing, pay teachers more money in the video. People remember it from there, the hair, glasses. It's all about how you just constantly keep making sure you're connecting the dots when people see it. And I learned all that from NASCAR, NBA, all that stuff. So it keeps coming back around. So every year, there's teachers having events. I get on teacher tours. I get on teacher conferences. I become keynote speaker. I give away stuff. I zero teachers projects on donorchoose.org. So all that stuff keeps resonating over and over again. You just have to stay fresh in that vein of what comedy is and what marketing is. I did a show with Sarah Blakely from Spanx, right? Remember the lady that makes Spanx? So I did a show. I wasn't supposed to be on the show. I just hopped in the show. Punchline owner put me on the show. And from that show, I got a gig doing Atlanta Tech Village, which is one of the biggest in the Southeast tech firms that does pitches for apps and big time apps and stuff like that. $1 billion in a room. I'm hosting, I'm doing comedy. Why would I be there? Because it's how you reset a room, how people perceive you. If you can get in there and do that work, it turns into other work. So don't put yourself in that group. And I just keep doing it. Pay teachers more money, went around the country. And then now I learned marketing where all my stuff has AR in it. So if I sent you a t-shirt or anything and it's Teacher Relief Live, let me show you. It'll talk. So it scans like an app. And it starts talking off anything. And then it shares to the object. So, and I did it with everything. Joke dealers was the first thing I did. That's why I tell people marketing is key. So same thing. This was 2004, right? Same technology. You just have to be consistent. Hold on. You just have to be consistent with the technology. This is the joke dealers. Same thing. So what happens is when I go to an event and I put up giveaway shirts, logos, put everything, I put giveaways in the logos. So when they scan them, it picks up the analytics, the numbers, and then it tells me whether or not to go back to that city and bring more merchandise. Or go after them, make sure when I do my tags on Zoom and you do you're letting people know where you want to go, where you want to advertise, you know where your numbers are. This is about feeding your base. That's why you see a lot of comedians come back over and over again, and you never seen them do TV or anything like that, because they fed their base in that area. The club will bring them back, so they'll come back quarterly every 3 months. People are gonna go see them. They don't even need to sell a ticket. That's why the whole toss up between social media, Instagram comedians and comedians that do stand up, it was a big battle. But you see comedians that don't even really do social media, don't have a big following, still touring all over the country.
Yeah.
And then the social media dudes are getting it too. The gatekeepers have not changed, Linda. People who own the clubs have not changed. How to get to them has changed. You don't have to sit on the couch at David Letterman, Jay Leno. You don't have to do that no more. You can hit a video for 2 or 3 million views, or then end up with 1 million followers and create your own tour. So that's it. You got any questions for me?
How do you put something out there that's gonna get a few million hits?
There's no organic way to it. It's all about consistency. If you're gonna, like I'm doing this thing now with my son called the Henrys. And because we're home, my son is funny. People don't think that people talk to their kids, or my son's 13. People want to know what teenagers are talking about. People don't know how to talk to their kids now because they're different. So I created this thing called the Henrys, and I get on Instagram. I'm gonna do 3 of them tonight, and I've already recorded. And you just consistently do it, and consistently throw up pictures or whatever. Make it marketable. You don't have to put a lot of thought into it, because when you start thinking about it, getting perfect, don't let perfect get in the way of getting it done.
Okay.
That's what happens.
You're a natural teacher. Okay.
So all I did was, I know how to do editing. I put it up and let him do it. Then I do different and make sure it doesn't look the same. Make sure they look different, so people can't wait for the next episode of whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? So you learn how to use your technology. Like right now, we're talking around the world. You get what I'm saying? It only takes like somebody to pop in now and be like, that was a good interview. So I need to inbox Linda. I gotta talk to Hank. You never know who sees this stuff. So I would say consistency is a big key, and you'll learn how to get it. You'll learn what your followers are. You'll learn what it is. My hard part is, I don't want to do this every day. But now I'm getting to the point where we've been in the house from COVID. I'm like, yeah, knock this stuff out. A couple of my comedian friends live there in Vegas. Comedian Carlos lives there. And
Carlos Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
Who else?
Benny Pitts.
Yeah, I love Benny Pitts.
Yeah, those are my dudes. I can't think. There's a couple of people there that I know that I've been.
Do you know Ray Love?
I know the name, but I have never met him.
Oh, he came to a show I was doing, and the minute I opened up my mouth, he started laughing so loud, and he laughed through my whole set, and I was just riffing off his laughing. I was like, you got to come to all my shows. I didn't know I was this funny.
Right. And it's a good laugh. It's consistency. The comedy muscle is always growing. I tell people all the time, try to be as transparent as you possibly can and as relatable as you can. Because you can't, no one can do Linda like you do Linda.
Yeah, I have to be who I am.
Why not? Why not?
I can't stand watching a comedian that's putting on an act. You feel
like a bit. You know what I mean? Like they have like a bit. Yeah, like I kind of like impersonators. I kind of like people with bits, but I can only watch it but so many times.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And I always think about, this is the thing, you always think about what can turn into a show, what can turn into a commercial, what can turn into a brand, what can turn into a movie. You know what I mean? Anything to that effect, you got to think about what you think is going to make you famous may not be what's going to make you famous.
I started doing these Zoom interviews at the begin. Well, I was doing them for a year at Harvey's in Portland.
Okay.
And then that turned out to be a fiasco and I moved here.
Mhm.
And then the pandemic hit, and I'm kind of like Gladys Kravitz, the neighbor on Bewitched. And I'm like, how's everybody doing? You know?
Yeah.
And so I got on here and I comedian Miss Arkansas, she was the first person I got on Zoom, and she looked sad. And the more we talked on Zoom, the more we both cheered up.
Yeah. I
So
do.
just,
I did for my. I have a podcast network, and what I did was from Zoom, you can rip the audio.
yeah.
So all this stuff can become audio. You can make it a podcast. So I have 3 different podcasts. I have Sneakers Unplugged, Joke Dealers Inc., and Teachers Relief Live, the podcast. So I ripped the audio and I did interviews called Teacher Talk with teachers right when it happened, because everybody was freaking out about having a kid at home. And I didn't care about what the kids are going through, what the parents are going through. It was what the teachers were finally getting somebody to experience. They were finally getting somebody to experience how hard they work and what they sacrifice. And people take it for nothing. And my wife hates it. My wife was like, oh, you and these teachers. But I was just like, just think about it. If we really just supported the education system, it would change so much stuff. If we change what was taught, we wouldn't have as much racism as we have, because people would know history, they would know facts. And the more and more you invest in your kids in there, here, they make better decisions out there. So it's like, if you don't invest and you don't think the teachers are worth it, then what are you investing? What's important? Like, I'm looking at this country and I'm looking at everything and I'm just like, I'm going to keep saying it. They may not ever put me on LN or all this other stuff, but people will know, pay teachers more money, Teacher Relief Live all around the country. I'm pushing this until it becomes a teacher conference that goes all over the world, that has no CEUs, that's sponsored by major brands, that gives away a bunch of stuff to teachers. So who's ever listening here, that's why I do these. Whoever's listening that wants to be a part of it and make it happen, let's make it happen. But I know how it structures now because I've done the tour. So you can't tell me it can't be done, because I did 30 cities by myself. So if you're talking to me about, oh, well, do teachers have money? Well, you believe in everybody else having money. Teachers must have money. They spend all their supplies on kids and they don't make that much money and they still do their job. So how do they get to work? How do they get their coffee? How do they get their CBD gummies and their Xanax to deal with these kids? So the part of it that's me is, I'm a Black father. They don't think that, most people don't think Black men take care of their kids. Yes, I take care of my kids and I educate them, but there's nothing wrong with me sticking up for the fiber of what America is. And it's not money, it's teachers, essential workers. I'm not mad at cops and all that other stuff, but cops need more education. Cops need to understand, they need psychiatric training, they need all that stuff. And my father's an engineer.
They need help with PTSD, you know, like they go to trauma and it's looked down upon to need psychological help. There's a stigma.
Let me tell you something, Linda. Nobody has more PTSD than Black men in America, because the trauma and the drama and the stuff that goes along with me just walking in the room and being a Black man, assertive in my skin and having a sentence structure and a vernacular and having educational, scares more white people. And I mean you no harm. So the fact that you have made decisions in your head or your heart based on my color, and we got the same O positive blood, same kidneys. I used to put kids in arms and legs back together. And I live in Georgia. Okay, I'm from Massachusetts. So it gets a little racist out here. I'm telling you, where I live in Georgia is where racism is seasoned to perfection. You hear me? They know what they're doing. We have fiddles and everything. I'm like, all right, this is uncomfortable. But I just think it comes down to, I think we need to love each other, laugh more. Racism does not belong to Black people. People hate when I say it, but we didn't invent it. We're not benefiting from it. We've always been underneath it, but we've always triumphed over it. So, in that, with me saying that, it's just people need education. if they only knew and took the time out to see what we've overcome and how we persevered, they would know that we're one of the biggest assets to America.
Yes.
That's it. I don't say it boastfully like, oh, but it's facts. It's like, I'm gonna be honest. If I was any other nationality and I moved to the United States and there were no Black people here, I would be bored. I'd be like, where are the people with the trends and the culture and the music? Where is all that at? You know, this has been the same. It's the same stuff. That's what's going on with comedy. That's why you see so many viral. That's why TikTok is the way it is. Because these young Black kids got on there and made it amazing, and it just took off. Culture, trends, all that stuff. But, you know, everybody thinks that, you know, I mean, we want something different. I don't, you know, I told my wife, the aliens are going to come, and the aliens will be Black. So that'll kind of make everybody mellow out.
You know, I would like to speak about racism for a second.
Okay, just don't have me on here crying and cussing.
just like, as a white person, I think that there's so many things white people do. Like, if a white person was going to go to Holland for a vacation, to Amsterdam, they'd probably go hire Karen to go get them a Berlitz class to learn what to do, what to say, what not to say. But we don't know, us white people don't know the first thing about the struggle of people of color, Black people. And we just are always jawing around saying, I'm not racist and I feel for them or whatever. And we don't even know how to communicate with people of color. And we don't know what we're doing that's offensive. And we've had so much white privilege for so many centuries that we don't even know what white privilege is.
Yeah, and you can't, it's not a feeling. It's a definite, I know. I know that I won't have this problem. I know for a fact. I can't actually say anything for a fact. I just know for a fact that I need to be safe. I need to pay attention. I know for a fact that I am smart. I don't want to sound like a movie. I know for a fact that I'm intelligent. I'm not out to harm people. If that's what you physically think in your head, that when you see me come in a room, you should be scared of me. That is just something that's pumped through TV and media. You know what I mean? It's like, in the long run, if you ain't never been to a Black cookout, you don't know what you're missing.
Yes.
It's just a lot to stuff. In the entertainment business, it gets a little crazy at times, because you know certain comedians will get opportunities that other comedians of color won't get, or you're not the face of the time. So then they were saying that it was true that they will only pick 3 Black comedians or 2 Black females, but the world has changed. I take my hat off to women. Women have come in and changed the voice of who needs to do what. And from the producers to Black producers to white producers, females are getting beat up and dragged around as well.
That's right.
And I think it started with the Me Too movement, where women were saying, like, look, y'all not gonna do this to us no more. And we're not gonna shut up about it. And it just trickled down to the point where we're like, all right, well, if everybody's saying something, can we say something too? You know, I think it's time that, can the Black people say something? I think it's our turn. Can we say something about what's going on? And, you know, and now with social media, what you're seeing firsthand in your house. People live 50 miles. People only live 50 miles outside of their house. Your radius of what you take in is only 50 miles outside of your house. If you're not a comedian, you'll travel, you don't have a passport, you don't know anything but 50 miles outside of your house and what comes on the news or Netflix. And you believe all that. So just think about how many people, I traveled all over the place. You been to Ohio?
Me? Yeah.
You've seen Ohio, right? Ohio is all houses around a Walmart in each state. And I mean, I love Ohio because it's the best food, best people. They're real people, but they only live 50 miles outside of their house because they have football to keep them in the town. They have their sports. They have their family. The aunt lives over the bridge, and they only live 50 miles outside of their house because they don't want to live at Walmart. And just think about how the media and social media pump stuff into your head when you live in a certain area. And they're just like, well, I just think, because here, let me tell you something. When they think in my neighborhood, now I ain't saying my neighborhood, they think that all the black people downtown in Atlanta are gonna get in their car when they can't find food no more, and they're gonna come out here and they're gonna steal food and steal white women and white kids out of people's houses, out of the suburbs, and they Teslas. I was like, I was like, if you knew my friends that live downtown live in $1 million condos. They like their Whole Foods and stuff. They don't want to come out here in the sticks to even visit. So let's just get away. There's so many stereotypes, just so much stuff that needs to be done. I will probably never see it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the kids will be the ones to heal this world. That's why I say to take care of the teachers. Because if the teachers are putting the right things in the kids and they're supported and they're okay mentally, then I think that that'll transpire to the children.
My daughter went to Renton High School in Renton, Washington. It's a town around a Boeing place, you know.
Oh, okay.
And
airplanes.
Yeah. And the school was 98% Black students.
Wow. Everybody, they work for Boeing. A lot of the military, is it military Boeing or it was military?
Military and non. So in the Renton school district, there's 7 schools. Only one had 98% minority Black, urban, whatever, people of color. And so this is when the light switch of racism went on in my head. Because up until then, I heard about it. But when my daughter was in that school, I saw they wouldn't pick up the trash at Renton High School. They wouldn't give good new sports equipment. It went to all the other schools until it was worn out. Then Renton got it.
Yeah.
None of the kids are student. The parents didn't want the kids going to that school. So if they lived in that district, they'd find a way to go to another school.
Right.
And so the kids didn't want to go to that school because they were learning racism at home.
Right. And the thing what's crazy about it is, I bet Renton was the best athletic academic school in the city because those kids it's just how it is. What's crazy about it is a lot of teachers sometimes don't live. That's one thing I don't like. Teachers, if you don't live in the city or your kids don't go to the school where in the district you work in. I think like if you could, your husband could be, or your wife could be wealthy enough to put them in a private school. But I just think that, when it comes from home to school, and you're just a little bit more connected to what goes on in the community and stuff like that. But I've seen it tons of times, how they have houses, $1 million houses next to Title I schools. And I'd be like, why is that? Because it's like, they lined it out where that school won't get any money because it's not in that area. And they redistricted it just so that school wouldn't get money because they knew that there was apartments in a trailer park down the street that would benefit from that school, from that money. And so they're like, nah, our tax dollars are not going to that school because we're not going to send our kids over there. So as long as that keeps happening, and we can't, that's why I tell people vote based on what you do, your research. Like, do your research. And I tell people, they like, and I'm not political. I don't get into politic talks about Trump supporters and people, you feel like this, don't wear your mask, red, blue. I don't get into that. I want to know the senators. I want to know congressmen. I want to know what my judge is going to do, my judicial system. I want to know what the city council is going to do. What's the school committee going to do? What are your views and opinions about money? What y'all going to do? What are y'all looking at? Are you looking into technology? Are you trying to get these kids advanced stuff? We can compete if we would just expose these kids to more stuff. My son reads Thai and Alexile. Retains, he's an AC reading. He's in 8th grade, he reads on 11th grade level. This dude he knows coding, all this other stuff, a couple of languages. And that's just based on my exposure. I'm like, if you're gonna learn anything, learn how to retain. Learn how to retain information and make sure you can retain it. I told everybody, you cannot you put it here, in your brain, you got it. And what you do with your body. And I tell you, if you work out, you keep your body healthy, your brain healthy, you can get some stuff done. But most cities that are inner city, they are food deserts. So there's no healthy food around. Most kids, like, this is a hard time. That's why I'm like, I say this stuff about teachers because they know directly what kids haven't ate, kids haven't eaten all week. You know what I mean? Won't get a meal till they come to the school. So to get on the other side of this COVID, we just need somebody with some common sense that wants to get rid of COVID and not make money off of COVID. Because that's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to get a check. Everybody wants to be a billionaire. Remember before, Lyndon, everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Now they talking about, I'm gonna be a trillionaire. Can you really say that out your mouth? Just trillions of dollars going around, but there's still homeless, hungry people in the United States, and there's people who live in this country that are billionaires.
I've never seen more affected people with poverty. I mean, people with their clothes falling off their body, laying on the type of homelessness is so much worse with COVID. You walk up and down the Las Vegas Strip, you'll see 200 homeless people right on the strip, sleeping on cement.
And all that money flowing through the city, all that money. And all they could do, and it's therapy. They could get people in therapy. Most people who are homeless, it's a mental condition.
Yeah. So
they need counseling, and they need somewhere to start, somewhere to grow. And they're probably coming from an actual stable environment. It's just that they never got a chance or they couldn't get back in. Some people don't ever want to be in, but why? Like, you just look at the system of what they're giving away for money. Other countries is making sure everybody get money. Here, they're giving away $1,200 and they're like, you're gonna be all right. But I lost my job where I make $5,000 a month. Well, we're gonna cut the unemployment. What? So I don't sit in a place of just, I'm good. I've been blessed to be okay during this. Clearly you look like we out here doing interviews, so we ain't hungry because things are good, but it's like, just think about, this is the United States of America. And what I love about this country is on the other end is what I hate about it. It's like, yeah, it's so much going on, it's so much to do, but why can't everybody touch it?
That's a good point.
So,
like, I don't want to be treated lesser than other people, but I sure as hell don't want to get treated better than America treats. Like, there's people that get treated bad in America, and I don't want to get treated better than they treat the way they treat people bad. Like,
you know what?
Get it together.
But it's systemic. It goes deeper than you think. Like I said, the PTSD that I deal with is a lot crazy. If you break down, you think about it in any system. Say if we leave in a comedy club, me and you, same car, right? Cops decide to pull us over. They see me driving, you in the car. You've been kidnapped, or whatever. Or I'm in the passenger seat. They feel like, hey, I'm gonna ask him now. I happen to get out of the car. They feel like I'm a threat. And I'm just using that scenario. It could be anything. Yeah. And I am the breadwinner for my family. So something happens to me, life insurance policy kicks in or whatever, and they say that I was negligent, but it takes care of a percentage of what my family does or what I was doing or projected to do. Then my family has to move out of where they are, but I've acclimated income because my wife or my family is not eligible to get unemployment and all the stuff, or my Social Security. That automatically puts my family below the poverty line. So then there's nothing for you then. There's nothing you can do to get back up. And that happens at a blink of an eye. And the reason why, because there's no generational wealth that's attached to Black dollars. And in the long run, a lot of stuff that's happened in the past has disconnected us from wealth. And as much as we try, and there are Black people who are wealthy, but we just got this money. You know what I mean? People be like, oh, he been rich. Well, yeah, he just got this money. If you think about how the system, there's always a family, a white family that has generational wealth, more of them. And that came from housing. If you've been put in the projects and you weren't able to buy a house because you couldn't get the house of the loan because you lived here, then, and you can't, like a lot of my cousins in New York make good money, but they can't get a house out where they want to get a house because it's too much money, or they're not going to get the interest rate. And that stuff like that happens constantly. So then they end up moving to New Jersey, but that's way too far for them to commute to work that make that money in the city. So it's just a lot that goes on. And it gets, for most Black people, it's tiring. You're exhausted. If you ever see somebody, Linda, a Black lady walking in and she mad, somebody did some shit to her earlier. It ain't because she just an angry. Then this is the thing I learned from being married. My wife don't wake up angry. She don't wake up mad. She wake up happy, singing. But I promise you, by the end, by the time I talk to her 12 o'clock, she's like, I'm so sick of these. I be like, well, what happened? She's like, I'm sick of they. You ain't gonna believe this. And I be like, why would they do that? And it's tiring. It's exhausting.
I'm so glad that the term white privilege came out so that white people can be cognizant and try to think, what am I doing right now that looks so white privileged?
Well, people don't really, be honest with you, it's 50-50. Some people like, oh, it's not real. Some people think that, some people think like, oh, get over slavery. Somebody get over it. It's not that bad. I'll be like, okay. All right.
It went on for 4 centuries.
You be like this.
And you got no reparations for it.
That's why I tell all my friends that tan a lot. I'm like, don't get too dark. They be like, why? I was like, because they already met their quota with me. You're gonna lose your job. But no, it's you can't. I've adopted the energy of just doing what you can, keep your face, keep the energy, bad energy off of you. These days it just suck. And you just like, wow, like you got to turn your social media off. You got to give yourself a break.
I will say one thing. Up until COVID, white people in America went out of their houses and never had to worry about their safety.
Yeah.
But you're speaking about PTSD as a person who's a person of color in America. Mm-hmm. Every time anybody of color goes out in America, I think they have to worry about their safety.
I worry about it all the time. I worry about it all the time. There's a clothing line, Maven brand. This guy made these hoodies that says "Never So Dope," and I always get leery of when white people see the hoodie. What are they thinking it says? Like, what is their message that they're getting? And the guy goes, "Oh, I love the hoodie, never so dope, but I smoked some," and I would be like, "That's not the message," and he would be looking at me like, "Never so dope is I am not a dope dealer." Despite what you see and what you think you see, or where I live, or what I'm able to do with my life, what kind of car I drive, I got an education. I worked hard, and this is what I've obtained. Because I'm in here and doing this, you assume that I'm a dope dealer. Because my wife is wearing this, we're doing this on vacation, I'm a dope dealer. That's not true. There's a lot of educated, smart, talented Black people. There's a lot of talented comedians, actors, tons of them. And if you look on any schedule, if you look on any calendar around the country for comedy clubs, there's a lot of Black comedians on there. Reason being is because tickets are sold, talent is given, they're making money. If you weren't making no money, they wouldn't book you. That's just it. That's just the nature of the beast, to make money, butts and seats, people entertain. And if we weren't funny and doing what we do, then we wouldn't get booked. There's some clubs in the country that don't book Black comedians at all. And that's their loss.
Right.
A lot of them feel like, I guess, it's because you're going to turn my club into an urban room. And it's like, nah, it's not. That's not it. People want to be entertained. There's a certain level of entertainment that you get. And you in Vegas, you've seen it. You've seen shows. You'd be like, wow, this is amazing. I learned that from George Watts, watching him. I'm like, Mr. Vegas, your name, your face is on taxis. You know what I mean? You got your own production. You was at the Flamingo for how many years? It's crazy to watch. Yeah. So with that going on, Sammy Davis Jr., all these people, now y'all got Usher. Hey, let me ask you this question. You know somebody who work at the Usher shows? Because I can sure use 2 tickets.
Is he playing here in Vegas?
He's got a residency.
What place is it at?
No, 2021. I'm coming though. My wife, I think Usher is the closest to, Usher and Chris Brown is the closest to Michael Jackson performance level that, you know what I mean? And I would love to see him in Vegas. I wanted to see Mariah Carey. I want to take my wife to see Mariah Carey in Vegas, and Boys to Men. There's a couple people who have residency there that I want to see. But I know a lot of comedians have done it. Monique has done a residency there. And I forgot who else, a couple other comedians.
Well, if you find out a place where you want to get tickets, just tell me the name of the venue and I'll find out who like the resident hosts are. I know, I've interviewed everybody in Vegas, so.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, Linda, we're family now.
We're family now.
Yeah.
How can I buy one of your shirts?
Oh, payteachersmoremoney.com. If you go to payteachersmoremoney.com, it's right there. Boom. Get you one.
Okay. I want one.
Cool.
That's what you get. That's what you get for let you go. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hank Denson. Oh my gosh, thank you so very much, Hank
Denson. I know
Denson.
it's like people, it's put it like this. The way the world works, now you're gonna be like, oh my gosh. We family now. So if I hit you up tomorrow, like, okay, Linda, you said. But let me ask you this.
I don't forget.
I know. How is it? Let me ask you this question. What do you want from comedy?
I'll tell you what I want. I'm going to your website right now. Just one sec. So what I want from comedy is I want to be able to be a host. I want to host at shows, and I want to interview people like yourself that come through a club. I want to be at the Tropicana or Planet Hollywood. I want to have a little studio room that's legit at a club where I'm seen as a bona fide, super cool interviewer, and I want to be a host. I'm not going to try to be a headliner.
You don't? Don't say that. Don't say that too soon.
Okay. Well, right now I'm at the 15, 20 minutes is pushing it for me. And I love people, and I love to make people all unite in a room and have a common purpose for this is your night. We're going to have a blast, and like, I'm a high energy host.
Okay. I would tell you this, because I've hosted tons of shows. Pack your funny into 3 minutes. Okay. Pack your funny into 3 minutes, control the 3 minutes. Learn how to reset a room with 3 minutes. Reason why I say 3 minutes, because you can always slow the 3 minutes down and make it 6.
Got
you
it.
Can make it 10, you can make it 9, you can add nuances, you can make act outs, you can do crowd work, you can do callbacks. Do not get into giving the credits so quickly. Thank you, welcome for coming out, blah, blah, blah. I am Linda Marcus Smith. This is about me. Take the energy up. Then when you get them up, pull the chute and be like, so let me tell you about the room. Thank you for coming in. The exits are there. The bathroom is there. Turn your phones down. 2 drink minimum is what's going to happen. Are you ready for you're ready for your feature? Don't say your first comedian, because guess what? You are a comedian.
Thank you. What's wrong with people?
A lot of hosts say, oh, so you ready for your first comedian? You'd be like, no. I say, are you ready to get this show started? So they'll be like, your comedian coming up now, blah, 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 blah. Then you kind of want to give that piece of you, that you do a good show. So when you come back to bring the next person, you're not running uphill if they sucked. Or, you know what I mean? You're not running like, oh, okay, so you guys, let me ask you this, or you got to do some corny crowd work that, you know what I mean? You don't have to do all that. You're constantly keeping the flow of the energy good. And when people see you do that, then you'll learn how, you'll get more hosting pieces, and you'll learn how to segue your hosting conversation when you're doing the interviews. Because I interview like a big dog. You have me interviewing, I'm like, let me say this, let me ask you this question. That's a proposal. Oh, okay, and then unplug. You're amazing at letting people talk, because I know I talk for a good 40 minutes. That is a good thing. I learned how to let people talk, learn how to unplug them, let them spill, and it turns into good content.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for me on my interviewing skills where I could have been better tonight with you?
No, just, I would say this, if anything, end on some questions so that you can have clickbait. So you did interviews with tons of people, but do you have one question that you had them all answer?
Yes.
And what was that question?
So what's the legacy that you want to leave? That's one. And what is one thing you haven't done yet that you have to do? Like, is it Madison Square Garden? What is it?
So put those questions in the beginning, so then they're fresh and you're chatty. And then at the end have something, but get those questions off the bat, because you never know with your feed, it may cut out and you may never get it.
That's great.
So I try to get all my good chunky, my whys, my whats, my wins, all my questions in the beginning. Okay. So if something chops out at the end, or I lose a signal or whatever, I don't have to go back and try to get that interview. I have enough chops and pieces that I can break up and make better questions, bigger answers, or all this other stuff, and then put in video clips.
Do you know this is the best interview I've ever gotten?
Really?
And I'll tell you why. Because I have to go watch this video probably 100 times to ferret out everything that you're teaching. This is so much. You're motivational. You're giving out technical information for comedians, how to own your own rights to things that different artists have done that you should do and do right. Oh my God.
I've learned, and the thing, and I'm gonna be so blatantly honest with you. I talk from a space of experience and still learning and failing. And I learn more, I can tell you more from failing than I can tell you from actually winning. So that's why I tell people, because I'm like, yo, I'm talking from like, yo, you don't want to deal with that. That's gonna be a headache. You know what I mean? Because I've done it. And if I haven't done it, I'm not talking. I don't have nothing to say. I don't have nothing to speak on it. I can't speak on it. So, but if I failed at it and failed at it a few times, I'll tell you. Because I think the biggest experience in life is for people to fail and talk about their failures so that you can win on the other side. That's one thing people are scared of. A lot of comedians that you see that want to do, and that they're so scared to go in a room and not sell a ticket. Oh, I want to sell out. You may not. You may not sell out the first time. You may not even do good numbers, but the second time, your numbers will get better. If they bring you back a third time and they like you, and you tip the staff and you're friendly, you're not a jerk, you're not an asshole, then you looking at something different. So there's a lot to learn about the entertainment business. A lot of us don't have, I'm blessed to have friends that will tell me stuff. I'm blessed to have, like Rodney Perry was a vital, the Punchline people, Chris DePetta, a lot of people told me about different stuff about the business that was factual. You know what I mean? George Wallace, he just tell you stuff and be like, hey, nephew, don't do that. Nephew, you want to do that? Okay, that's good. And you don't get people to give you that was good. And I learned to be that person where if somebody's doing something, I'll come in and say, yo, that was good. And what else do you think, man? Well, what I would do is X, Y, and Z. My wife was always like, stop telling everybody everything. And I was just like,
it's so wonderful.
It's not going to help. It helps me to tell them, because then I can go back and fix it for me. And most of the time when you give people information, there's a 50-50 chance that they're not even going to do it. So, and I learned that from over the years. I'm just like, yo, you should do X, Y, and Z. Word, and they write it down, all this other stuff. And you see them later in a year, be like, man, I should have did it. I'm like, well, you didn't. And you know what? That dude is doing it, and he made a whole bunch of money. So I just say, take your time. Don't be scared. You know what I mean? There's no fear in this. If you're going to be scared, you might as well go do something else. Go get a daytime job. If you're scared about failing or not being funny, you might as well just go get a job. You might as well just go work, because now we're dealing with 40, 50, 60, maybe 100 people in the room. You know what I mean? You're not used to the 300 sellout. So when you're looking around, a lot of comedians ain't even used to doing small crowds. They've been rocking off big crowds. So when they go in a room and there's 40 people, they're like, wow, the laugh don't jump all over the place. You're going to have to put these jokes together, and you're going to have to really make these people laugh. Because they looking at you, and some of them may have a mask on. There ain't no noise coming out. So it's a lot to learn now. It's a lot to learn. I think that it's, I've weathered some of the storm. I know there's more to come, but I think that we're on the other side of it almost, where things will start getting better. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be the same, but I think we're gonna be okay. Comedy. I pray for comedy. Comedy's always gonna be somewhere.
I think so too. When you come to Vegas, I have to meet you in person and seal it with a hug and have coffee with you or something.
Sure.
Sort of weird. Something like coffee or dinner or something.
No, it's cool. I mean, I know there's a lot of places that I love to eat there. So I'm like, if you want to eat, I'm eating. Let's eat.
Let's do it.
But yeah, definitely it's been a pleasure. I know I look tired, but
thank you so much, Hank.
I'm like, my bedtime is like 2:30, because that's when I'm just like.
You're a doll. I love this interview.
Thank you, Linda. Amazing.
You're amazing. This is the best content interview, and the heart you have to share everything you've learned the hard way. Like some people learn stuff and they hoard it, and they'll give you.
It's not going to do you any good to keep it.
Nope.
It really, what it does is, you put it like this. You learn. This business is about not who you know, but who knows you. And if they know you from being a good dude, a good person, it's going to walk you in a lot of doors that other people are not going to be able to get in. And I've learned that by watching, just being cool, not asking for a lot, not trying to make it difficult for people, not trying to one up everybody, not trying to be the biggest mouth in the room. I'm not one of them comedians that's on, like trying to make everybody laugh. I know when to turn it on. I know when to get on the microphone and turn it up and do my job, because I love comedy. But I would tell my wife all the time, I was like, all the other stuff that goes with it, I could do without. But when I take that microphone out of the stand, I hear that, woo, how y'all doing? And you get that, you be like, yeah, let's go. Oh, let's go. So that's what I've always loved. That's what always kept me doing comedy. That feeling that you get when people come after the show and they look at you and be like, man, do you live in my house? And I'd be like, what you talking about? They're like, man, I love it. And then when I say what I say about teachers, and teachers walk up to me and have tears in their eyes and they're like, you get it. And I'll be like, you know what? I get it because I experienced it. And when you experience it, because we live in bubbles, you can live in a bubble and never ever deal with something. I'm not ever doing that. There's people who've never eaten onions. Never tried onion, but I don't eat onions. Why not? That's a bubble. That's living in a bubble. Just avoiding the onion. When you find out, you probably been eating onions all along, but you mentally, you able to say, I don't want no onions. that's a bubble. It's a lot of stuff that people just need to experience. And failure is one of them. And comedy makes you a gene, makes your skin tough, makes you resilient, makes you a chameleon. It makes you, yeah, you be walking around like, yeah, what's going on? Do you know Drew Thomas?
No.
Okay, he comes to Vegas a lot. Drew Thomas and Brad Garrett, he does Brad Garrett's Club. A lot of comedians I know do Brad Garrett's, and they do the comedy Cellar.
Yes, I met on here. I had a friend on Facebook. You know how you get friends that you don't know. And Mark Cohn was my friend on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked if I could interview him. When I first started doing this here in Vegas, I had no clue who anybody was.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any research or ask him for anything. I just get him on and start talking. And he's the resident host over there at the Cellar.
Oh yeah. So you said you got Sinbad. It's cool. His opener for a couple of years, comedian Terry, is a good friend of mine. And I always miss Sinbad like this. I'm coming to the city, he's leaving out of the city. Or there was one time I was supposed to do ASCD, like a teacher conference, and they were trying to get me to be his opener. I didn't care what they were paying because I just want to do the teacher conference, and I just want to sit down and not ask him questions, but thank him. I want to thank him for one, being clean and being relatable and transparent about his life as it went on through comedy, because that makes doors for me to be the same and paint my picture. So when comedians do that, and they've been doing it for years, and they Black people, I'll be like, oh God. I'm like, yeah, how you doing, man? I just be sitting there like, and I just let them talk. Throw out some questions and be like, oh, yeah? Okay. Most people be like, and I did this and I did that. No. I want to hear what you did. What did you do?
Yeah. So, he said that when he comes to Vegas, he's going to let me know and we're going to meet. So if I find out he's coming, I'll let you know.
That's cool. He's good people. He's good people. I met his brother a couple of times who managed other comedians. So he's a real good dude.
That was so wonderful to interview him. He did all the talk. How are you gonna, like, I didn't do it. If people say you did a good job with Sinbad. Oh, how are you gonna do a bad job with Sinbad?
Right. That's the key. It's like, and I get why a lot of people, some people just are not good to interview.
Yep.
I get that a lot. And I've learned how to do good interviews. Oh God. Because people don't know how to interview. So
yeah. I'll let you go. And oh my God, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Linda. You're welcome.
I'm going to buy a shirt right now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
One of your sweatshirts.
Awesome.
Bye. Love you.
Take care. Thank you so much.